I'll talk to anyone who's willing to listen to me, but it actually makes everything less effective. And then it leaves you wondering, what is the purpose? Why am I spending my money on social?
The goal is not to go viral. The goal, everyone thinks that's super cool, but you have no control over your audience.
Purely unless maybe you're trying to be an influencer so that you can have those big numbers so that brands want to work with you, there is almost no business advantage to going viral.
Leaning into social is establishing a referral program, even within your social, even if it's small. If you're local, if you want people in that door, you just need the right people. So hashtags, we're putting location tags so that if anyone searches dentist in Santa Monica, you're gonna populate because you have that hashtag in your content.
Today, we're going to be talking about targeting a local audience. So many brands are nationwide. You can have customers from all over the place, but many brands are not. They have specific locations, clinics, places where they need to target a local community in order to bring them into their business. And with that, there's many different strategies and different ways of approaching social when we know we're trying to push content to a very specific community. So let's start with why this is important, where we've seen it go wrong, why we're talking about this today.
Yeah. A big portion of digital marketing right now is social media, which people have gotten really misconstrued about how to go about it. It's all about right now numbers, having high views, millions of followers, which we know a lot of accounts have paid for those. But either way, those people will never become clients of your business. We had a viral reel one time that was in the millions and got us over 5,000 followers in one night, and it was huge. And all of the followers were in India. But this was a dermatology practice in California where none of those people are ever going to be able to be clients. So it's brands need to take the whole reason for this discussion is that brands need to have an approach to their digital marketing that's holistic to get people in and not just focus on big numbers, big views, and is social, making sure that their social is supporting the rest of their business goals, not just wanting big numbers.
One thing I think we should note, which we could probably do a whole episode on this, is why you use social. So this is specifically for people who are using social as lead gen, because we've also talked about too that you can also use social more as like a portfolio, helping people make their decisions or doing research. They find your social. Then there's maybe some options for having larger numbers. The numbers matter, things like that. But if you're using your social to drive leads, to drive customers, like directly connected to revenue, this is when you actually really care about what audience you're talking to, making sure it's very specific. So those are the strategies that we're talking about today.
One of the biggest things I just want to add in here in marketing, we're always questioned, what is the return on this? What's the value of what you're doing? And in our client work every week, as you know, people are asking us for the metrics, the analytics, the everything. Like, how many leads did this bring? How much website traffic did this bring? How much revenue did we get from this? And with social media in general, and granted, like, I don't like to see social media as like the main, just as we saw recently, like as your main lead source. It's a part of your strategy, but not like your only source of leads. But if you want clients in the door to come make appointments, if someone's asking you, okay, how we have a client specifically that they want to get appointments booked from their social media, but they also want big numbers. And those two things are hard to get at the same time. You have to have one approach for what you're doing to grow your leads. And needing a local audience that's going to come in is actually a very tailored, careful approach to business versus just using it as social proof.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not that you can't use social for both, but I like how you said it at the same time. It's like you need to decide, what are we using it for right now? And sometimes you can kind of screw yourself up a little bit. So if you were going for getting all these huge numbers and now you don't have an audience that's local, it's going to be really hard to like take your content back to being local.
Yeah.
So that's some of the strategies I think we should talk about right now, is whether you've just never tried to target locally or you have been and it hasn't been working. What are some of the things within social that can bring it back? So when it comes to targeting locally, there's lots of different strategies depending on the tools you're using, from PPC to SEO with blogs, your site, social content. Starting with social content, even within the umbrella of social content, there's a ton of tactics, strategies, ways we go about making sure we're getting in front of a local audience. So I like to start with the actual content that we're filming first before the tricks once you post and things like that. And we've recently been developing content strategies for clients that aren't anywhere near us in completely different states. But part of when we're putting together what it is we're going to be talking to them about, what kind of video we're going to be capturing, we start to look at the surrounding community and see where we can mention places and potentially collaborate with places once things go out. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what that looks like. For example, the interviews that we're getting set up for an upcoming shoot we have for a client, how we're working local conversations into that.
Yeah. So you have when it comes to social media, I feel like there's obviously you can put money in it to make sure that it goes to the right audience. But if we're talking only organic, there's a lot of ways you can curate your social to feel like you're there, like the person is stepping out of the exact location. You can do that obviously with text on screen, things like that. But recently, people identify with seeing it in person. So if you can put any kind of landmarks or familiar buildings, things like that. Or we also have a bunch of interviews coming up for a collaborative client and asking simple questions like, where's your favorite place to eat on a Friday night? And now we're pulling in, we can tag out to that business. We can cross collaborate on and get more organic reach. But it's also connecting the pieces that if they've eaten there too, they're going to hear it, they're going to recognize it. You kind of have to get your content to show to the people that are going to become your clients in that area.
Well, one thing I will say too is we also are strategic on what kind of businesses we're picking. So we know if we're targeting sort of an upscale, high income type of audience, we'll target the maybe restaurants that are high income, maybe some of the more luxury services that are in the area. So it's not even just localizing it to the place, but it's also where would our target audience be frequenting and getting in front of them even more specifically that way. So mentioning places that people know, calling out to your very specific local audience, all of that to make it feel like I'm not just trying to get followers or I'm not just trying to go viral, but I'm speaking specifically to you.
Or like considering what is happening right then. Are there events? Are there specific things in the community happening? Let's say you're a gym. Okay. Let's say you are a fitness center and you're trying to get more people in, and it's coming up on summer and you live by a lake and everyone is going to be out at that lake this summer, or you're in California and everyone's going to the beach. If someone watched your video, would they know where you're located, basically, like how to come in? So thinking of those things in your area. Maybe it's, if you live in New York and you walk everywhere, maybe we're bringing up like, hey, don't get winded when you walk to work tomorrow. Come to the gym. I mean, that's a really bad.
I think it's good to think about it in terms of if it doesn't work. Like when is it not working? So like if you lived in Texas, which is arguably like one of the least walkable cities, and you were getting content about walking to work or your daily walking commute, you would just know right away that wasn't for you. So when
Right.
it's not working, it's very clear. So even though you're hearing these things and you're like, what difference does it really make? If you think about the opposite, it clearly X's out people that are not supposed to be, that's not their daily life.
Yeah. When you're creating that content and you said you're creating that trust, you're talking to people, you're really an ideal content package, honestly, needs to be at least 12 pieces in a month to get these messages across. And if you're only talking about your local things and you're building up those people and things like that, you have to mix it in with some other stuff for content purposes. But like you said, if it's not for them, they're going to scroll right away. So taking a step back and deciding who exactly, that's where it comes into really understanding your target market and speaking to, yeah, 'cause if someone told me walk to a coffee shop, I'm swiping because the nearest coffee shop is like 20 miles away. Like I'm not walking there. But I'm really focused on other things, health, fitness, all that kind of stuff. So if someone promoted a new gym, I'd be all on it, you know? So I think keeping it targeted, like really knowing your target market and also knowing geographically where they, how far, like who you're targeting.
Most people are like, I'll talk to anyone who's willing to listen to me, but it actually makes everything less effective. And then it leaves you wondering, what is the purpose? Why am I spending my money on social? So if you design your social in a way that alienates the people that aren't going to be your customers, you don't want them anyway, you'll actually start to see a lot more return for all the posting and the work.
Yeah. So let's say your business, like, so if you're a local business and you want to use your social media for leads, not just to have social proof, not just for a second website, you want to use it for leads. Are you trying to go viral on social?
No, you are not. You are not at all. You'll lean more into paid, so you want more reach than say just what organic is giving you, but you are not trying to get a million views because likely your audience is not a million people big.
We deal with CMOs every single day. CFOs, CEOs, CMOs, all of the C-suite people. And they want things to go viral. They want to see those big numbers. But at our analytics meetings, they also want to see that every location on their analytics is targeted for their market because people aren't coming in the door. So we are answering that question all the time. The goal is not to go viral. The goal, everyone thinks that's super cool, but you have no control over your audience. So if you are speaking niche to your little area, like slow and steady wins the race with organic growth if you are local. If you can sell to anyone in the world, then viral it up. I mean, get as big as you can.
And even then you're going to get people that don't have the income bracket you need,
Yep.
that don't ship to where you can ship to. So purely, unless maybe you're trying to be an influencer so that you can have those big numbers so that brands want to work with you, there is almost no business advantage to going viral.
I think brands, if you're trying to get for your local, like to your local audience, you need to establish some type of referral marketing within your community. Whether that's because those are the people that are going to get you the best business because the best business comes from word of mouth. So I think that's leaning into social is establishing a referral program even within your social, even if it's small. If you're local, you don't need, if you want people in that door, you just need the right people.
Well, and we should note too that all of this works for if you have many locations. I believe typically we recommend every location has its own account. Is there any instance we don't recommend that?
So when they don't, it's hard.
Yeah.
We actually have a client like that that has one social for an entire state of clinics, basically. Some of them have their own, but in the majority, they only have one, which is really hard to target. Where are you sending people? Like it's harder to connect. So we do recommend like as many times as you can get ones for each specific location. Even when I go to something, if I go to a social and it has multiple locations, I don't know what I'm quite getting at the one location. You would want your own
Yeah.
specific to your location
Yeah.
where you can give people a really good idea of who you are individually instead of it's okay to be a part of a bigger thing, but you're not going to be able to grow locally if you don't have your own.
Let's narrow down into a couple strategies really quick for each of these accounts that are posting locally. Hashtags, location tags, collaboration tags. Physically, when you get in the app and you're actually posting your post out, which we already talked about content, it should be talking about some things in your community. What buttons do we click now to make sure it's going to the right place?
And this is something you really have to stay up on because platforms change so frequently. I mean, hashtags should be strategized anyways. You should have, you know, your bucket of hashtags that you put on all of your posts. It used to be there was only post 3 and then there was let's post 30 and then there was 10 and who knows what the magic number is right now, but a strategy of having, you know, 3 of each of these categories and your categories being location tags. We are hashtagging literally the name of the location that you are at. And to break that down as to why that matters, our social medias really have become search engines. And if people don't already know, I mean, when you're in Facebook and you search something now, AI kicks in and gives you an answer. Like we are way farther ahead than where social used to be. So hashtags, we're putting location tags so that if anyone searches dentist in Santa Monica, you're gonna populate because you have that hashtag in your content. Which also leads me to this is a little insider tip that everyone listening should. I learned this the other day, and I have always known how important SEO is, right? But I just learned the other day from an AI company that I was interviewing that their AIs base who they push the content to. The only thing they can do, they cannot read your content. They can't read your graphics. They can't see your videos. They can't see any of that. The only way they know what your video is about is by your caption. They don't even look at your hashtags, AI software. It only looks at your caption. So, gone are the days where you are just posting like, had a fun weekend. You have to lace your caption with words that you're going to get categorized for in searches. Because take an AI, for example, that's engaging, doing outbound engagement for a client. And the client has given them the targeting. I want anyone that's interested in Botox. And you don't have the word Botox in your post or in your caption, you will not get on that client's radar, that account's radar. So hashtagging is super important for organic because platforms will push you and you'll land on those hashtag pages. But lacing your caption with the exact words that you want to show up for is equally as important because we are in the world of AI and AI cannot read your videos. So we're doing hashtags. We are SEOing our captions. I guess keyword lacing. That's like not a term yet, but I want it to be. I like it better than SEO because SEO I feel like is so different than that. But keyword lacing is what we're gonna call
I
it.
like it. It's kind of fancy.
We're gonna keyword lace our captions. But I feel like the location, I feel like it has come and I feel like it changes. I feel like sometimes it is good to have it in there. Have you seen the opposite where it only shows it is showing as like a check-in at that place versus attracting people in that location?
Typically, I mean, when I'm scrolling like for fun at the end of the day, I will see a lot of, especially if I've been looking at a place, I'm thinking about traveling there or something. I'll start seeing a lot of things that are tagged in that place.
Yeah. So like you just said that because I get questions from clients all the time. That's just checking in. You don't have to do that. If you're trying to grow locally, you're keyword lacing your caption, you are using hashtags that have two of your location and the name of what you do, plus your business name. And then obviously your industry specific ones. But then you also want to put your location for that exact reason that we can search you up just like on Google Maps within Instagram and find your business.
And then I would also add, if you are talking about any local businesses, landmarks, that you're collaborating with them, maybe just tagging them in the caption, but also collaborating as a post
Yep.
specifically for Instagram as well.
Yes.
So this is really just the beginning of a local marketing strategy. We have many other strategies we use constantly with clients, things like giveaways, what's your email marketing like, affiliate referral programs. So we will create a whole continued part 2 episode on how to target your local community. In the meantime, we do have a blog on our website that you can check out that runs through every single one of these strategies that we use every day for our clients. Please subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll see you on the next one.